Good evening. Welcome to Live United. Living United, an opportunity to share and hear about all the wonderful things happening here in the Monadnock region that make a difference in the lives of our citizens. Today I have the good fortune to have joining me Ben Woodworth. Ben is a VISTA volunteer working here in the Monadnock region, and fortunately for us here at the United Way, he's just joined our team for about a month to assist us with some projects. So welcome, Ben.
Thank you, Kelly. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting to have a volunteer on the show. And tell us a little bit about VISTA, AmeriCorps VISTA, and what it is.
Well, VISTA is it's known as the Domestic Peace Corps. And so we're volunteers who go out into the community and we work for little nonprofits, and our main goal is to stop poverty and kind of help social justice issues in communities around America.
So how did AmeriCorps Vistas come about? I understand that it started sort of with the Lyndon Johnson administration. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so the VISTA program was founded in 1965 in the Johnson Foundation, and it was sort of it was put in place to be the Domestic Peace Corps. We had the Peace Corps program where people were going overseas and helping communities, and we wanted something like that on our own soil. So he put that in place, and it became officially with AmeriCorps, I think in '93 under the Clinton Foundation. And it's one of the three branches. So AmeriCorps has VISTA, NCCC, and state and national. And so VISTAs, we focus on poverty, while the other two focus on different issues.
So why would anyone want to be a VISTA volunteer?
Well, volunteering is a great thing for all communities, and it's a chance to get some good work experience. Let's say you want to take a gap year in between high school and college. That's a great opportunity to do it. You get work experience, you get time in offices, you get to see, what the real world's kind of like, and you get to do your best to make an impact. And for yourself, it's gratifying work, and at the end, you do get a stipend to go back to school. You get an education award, and you can use that for any school-related expenses.
So why did you become a volunteer then?
Me personally, I was a year out of college, and I was just kind of working a cook job, and I knew that it was something more that I wanted to do, and so I decided that this was something to apply to. I have a bachelor's in sociology, so it's kind of the right program for my background, and I wanted an adventure. I'm from Western Washington, and they will pay you to relocate you if you get accepted. And so I was like, this would be an opportunity for me to go out and see another part of the country that I've never been to. And so I drove 3,000 miles to New Hampshire, and here I am.
Wow. So it's a bit of an adventure on our home territory, soil. That's pretty exciting. So the VISTA program here in New Hampshire, I understand that you are connected through Families in Transition, who manages your particular VISTA group. So tell us a little bit about that relationship.
Families in Transition, great program. They're based out of Manchester. They serve many underprivileged families and citizens around the Manchester area, and so it is a very complex cake of how it works out. It is the AmeriCorps, which is the top one. Families in Transition is sort of the umbrella organization where they recruit VISTAs, and then they send them to nonprofits throughout the state. So I'm an AmeriCorps VISTA under the umbrella of FIT that is working in Keene, not necessarily at the FIT organization, right, even though they do manage all the VISTAs that go through there. And I think we're one of the biggest in the state, the Families in Transition VISTA crop.
So I was actually going to ask you that. How many VISTAs do you think work here in New Hampshire?
In New Hampshire, my rough guess, I think it's around 200.
Wow.
It could be more, it could be a little less. I'm not sure on the exact number, but it's pretty substantial, the amount of volunteer work that is going on in these communities.
Do you know how many AmeriCorps volunteers there are across the country? How many VISTAs?
I couldn't tell you that, but I did you have to do a pre-service orientation, and mine was in Philadelphia, and we sold out a hotel for the weekend, and it was just packed. And so I think there was hundreds of people, maybe even 1,000 at that one, and that was for the whole Northeast region. So I'm saying there's probably a lot of definitely in the thousands across the
Wow.
country. Yeah.
Wow. What a great project. When you think about this, the value of volunteers, we know, is just critical to communities. We
Definitely.
can't create change and have healthy things happening out there without our volunteers to really support that, because there's just not enough resources without that people power.
And at the same time, then too, the volunteers are gaining way beneficial skills for themselves professionally, personally, and they're actually, for people who are sitting at home and wanting to do something and just don't know how, this is a great program to actually get on the ground and try and make a difference.
So are there age limitations to becoming a VISTA volunteer?
It's dependent on the host site. A lot of places want you to be, I think, 18 and have a high school, be graduated high school. That also varies. If you go online, if anyone is interested and they go online, you can go to the AmeriCorps site, and there will be a list of open places that are accepting VISTAs, and they have the requirements right there.
So somebody could actually apply to become a VISTA through looking up online at AmeriCorps VISTA, or where do they go?
Yeah, so how I found it, I just Googled AmeriCorps, and it takes you to the AmeriCorps website. It's under the CNCS, which is the Corporation for National Service or something like that. And that's who kind of runs the AmeriCorps program. And on that site, there will be a tab where you pick your country and you pick what you're interested in, because there is a wide range of things you can do to serve. You can work in the environment, you can work in strictly housing places, you can work in like low income communities, and so you kind of choose your interests, and it will show you the opportunities that are available for you under those parameters.
So you can see this online. And how does somebody who may want a VISTA volunteer go about applying and finding a VISTA volunteer?
So the application process for a host site to connect to VISTA, is that what you're saying, is I think it's fairly lengthy. It's a process. You have to apply to the state, and you have to do a lot of paperwork to bring someone in. For prospective VISTAs, it's sort of like applying to a job too. So what you do is you fill out your application and you do all that, and it's basically the job process.
So do you interview, and
Yep.
you have to fill out a resume, an application?
You fill out as many applications as you want on the online portal. I just did one, and I sent it to as many as I could, kind of blanket coverage. And if the host site's interested, they'll give you a call, they'll offer you an interview. If everything goes well and everything starts falling into place, then they start bringing it to the next level, and as soon as you get approved, you can get shipped out and go do your service.
Wow, so now you're in the middle of doing some service for us. So you bring some talent and skills. We're fortunate because you actually had some journalism experience on top of your sociology experience, which when you combine that for something like the United Way is wonderful skills to bring on board for us. But what's next for you? So you'll get this stipend, you'll finish out, getting some professional experience here. What do you plan on doing with what you've gained from this?
For me personally, I am very fortunate to be here at the United Way too. And through this year, it's been a very interesting year. I've had some trials and tribulations during my year. And I plan on taking my award upon completion and applying to graduate school here in town, hopefully in the conservation biology field, which will also, the program I'm applying to will also send me to do Peace Corps service. So this year has been so great on the domestic level. I actually want to continue my service abroad and spend 2 more years, doing this type of work, advocating for people, but being really immersed somewhere else. And so I'm hoping to travel and get a graduate degree with what I have done in this past year.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. Now, you're young, and a lot of people question volunteering versus going out there, getting the job, making the money. And, you talked about the satisfaction you experience being a volunteer. Why else do you think people might want to volunteer, especially young people? Even if they're working, why would they want to volunteer?
I mean, there are some great benefits besides your own personal satisfaction. You get time off, you get a monthly stipend that is replicable to, a minimum wage job. It teaches you how to live modestly, which is, I think, a great skill to have. And it really does set you up. Like, if you have some future plans that you need to go back to school for, this is a great stepping stone. It's one of the best, I would say, to kind of get you in the position to, be where you want to be. It's just there's no program like it.
So let's talk a little bit about the relationships you develop with people. How is that helping you, and how do you think that's helping communities?
Well, so the interesting thing about the VISTA program is it's centered around not really working one-on-one with clients, but kind of helping the organizations have a more effective model so they can more effectively, deal with clients. But in this type of work, it's like you're gonna have some client work. You're gonna, interact with the community. You're gonna to interact with your coworkers, and it's the professional and personal skills that you learn are second to none. That you really do go home and you think about the day that you had and like the interactions that you had, and you wonder, what impact you're making, and you get that time to reminisce of what the impact is on you too. And so I think you just gain many life skills by going through a program like this, and you represent something, and that's something to say in its own, that you represent this great program, and there's hundreds of thousands of people that are in that same team as you, and that's cool to be a part of.
And you think back to the fact that this is over 40 years old. Mm-hmm. And you think about the thousands of people who have volunteered through this, potentially gone on to become Peace Corps volunteers or gone on into our workforce. And the skills that you're gaining, it's exciting to see, because one of the things we often hear from employers is that a lot of the young people coming into the workforce now are missing sort of the relationship what they call the softer skills, the skills to be able to really handle customer relations and talking with people, and to do that social, emotional side of the work that every job requires. So, you're getting that opportunity in real life, hands-on experience with that. I know we're about to send you out into the community. Do you want to share with folks what you'll be working on?
Yeah, so I'll be working on collecting stories for the United Way, for the organizations that they help fund. We wanted to collect successful stories from clients who use their programs. And so, yeah, definitely the relationship and the softer side of, that you were talking about is going to come into play, because you really have to, you're stepping into someone else's world, and you have to be really cognizant of that and really delicate with how you approach them and how you handle, how you present yourself. so yeah, definitely I'll be using what you were talking about for that, and I'm excited. It's a great challenge to think about that stuff as you're working, and really put that into play is pretty important.
So you'll be connecting with some of our partner programs and really talking both with the clients and the people who are providing service as well. And I know we're going to have you work on the Reading Nook project that is occurring across the Monadnock region, and doing some parent outreach and outreach for volunteer recruitment. So you're a professional volunteer, and I think you'll be great at that recruiting of other volunteers. So I know you're looking at going to school here in the Monadnock region. What's making you want to stay here in the Monadnock region? Because we're hearing so much about young people coming here and then wanting to leave the Monadnock region because they can't quite find what they're looking for. What's keeping you here?
Me, the deal is the school, Antioch University. I've discovered many friends in that community. The program that I want to do isn't offered anywhere else in the country. But other than that, I've kind of fell in love with the nature that is around here. I showed up last summer and I was like, okay, this is kind of like Washington. It's green and it's a little hot, not too muggy. And then fall came, and I've never seen colors on trees like that ever. Like it was amazing to see the different foliage around, and the opportunity to get outside in this area is immense. There's tons of natural, like hiking, and places you can go to get away. I've tried to climb as many mountains in the Whites as I have. So far I've gotten 5 peaks, and I'm hoping to cross some more off once the weather cools down a little bit. But I think this is a great area. People have all been really nice to me, and it's a pretty good place to live.
Good. You know, it's so nice to hear that because, like I said, we hear about this, they call it an out-migration of our young workforce. And, you know, here you are, somebody that's traveled literally across to the other side of the United States,
Yeah.
and you want to make a life here and stay here. It's nice to hear that. Of course, sounds like you might go abroad at some point here as well.
Definitely. I'm forever moving. I've moved my whole life. I'm kind of a nomad, but I'm glad that I'm taking the stop here, at least for a few years, and enjoying what the Monadnock region has to offer.
Good. Any advice for people who might want to become a VISTA volunteer? I'm going to have you again talk about how they can, where they can go online, and you know, can they directly contact families in transition would be the other question.
Yeah, so some advice that I would have for anyone who's becoming a VISTA is, you know, keep your chin up, because it's not as hard as you think. It will be some times, a couple months, where you're living off the stipend and you're barely scraping by, and you're kind of grasping at straws, and you get through. You know, you learn how to make really low-cost meals. You learn how to prepare meals for yourself for the next week, and you get by. It's easier, because some people, the stipend looks kind of scary, and it is a little scary, but at the same time, it's meant for you to try and, you know, push through those obstacles. So I would say keep your chin up. If you're looking to apply, definitely go online. I just Googled AmeriCorps. I think the website might be the CNCS website. And yeah, see what they have to offer. You know, see if it's the right program for you. See if they have what you're looking for. Contacting them directly, I don't know if that would be the most effective way, but you can always give them a call and you know, see what they're offering for the next year. I know that they are looking for new host sites, and they are. So if you're a host site looking, you know, that's another thing that definitely give them a call.
And is there anything in particular they look for in a host site? Does it have to be a nonprofit? So 501c3?
So I think the regulations for host sites they need to be either nonprofit, faith-based organization, or there's one other. But usually the smaller nonprofit kind of definitely fits the mold. and they need to be focused on areas of AmeriCorps value. So homelessness, economic opportunity, environment is one. I know this SCA, the Student Conservation Association, is under the AmeriCorps tag. So as long as you're an organization that fits the mold for what they're looking for host sites, then you can apply. And that is on the website as well. That's on the AmeriCorps website. They list the values that they serve.
So I know the Corporation for National Service, that's CNS, that they also are what supports the RSVP program, the volunteer program here in the Monadnock region. So folks could also reach out to RSVP right here through Monadnock Family Services to hear more about the National Corporation for Service, volunteer opportunities there, and I'm sure they could direct you to the site as well. And like I've said before, we have the good fortune of having Ben with us for the next month or so, a little over the next month, and you can certainly reach out to him here at the United Way, and we'll be happy to connect you with him. So Ben, exciting to hear about these opportunities that you're having. You know, any last thoughts that you want to share with our Monadnock region out there?
Yeah, so we were talking about prospective AmeriCorps members, and the word young people kept getting brought up, and I want to emphasize that it's not just for young people. Any age, if you want to make a difference in your community, apply. It is a great program. Your education award you can take as a monetary, it's a little less, but you can take in cash if you do want. So VISTA does allow part-time jobs as well. So if you want to do something, you have a part-time job and you just want to help try to make an impact, I encourage you to apply. It's for everybody, and it's to help everybody, and it's a great program.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because I think about people who maybe are in transition from one job to another. Mm-hmm. And, you know, this could be the right thing. Sometimes we hit those transitions as we get into the, 40s, 50s. I did have the opportunity to work with a VISTA who was actually in his late 40s, mm-hmm. Had worked for a company and got laid off. He went into VISTA because he decided he wanted to change in his career, wanted to go back to school, but wanted to gain some experience to see if that's what he really wanted to go into, going back to school.
That is a great strategy. It's a program for everybody. It really is. If you want to help, you can.
And that's a good thing to say, because you're not only helping yourself, but you're really helping a whole lot of people out there. And I like that it's focused on community change and having community impact out there. So Ben, I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to thank you for coming on board with the United Way and agreeing to help us out with some of the work we have going on.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Kelly. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to the next month here, and yeah, thank you.
All right. So folks, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. I want to remind you that this is a super opportunity to volunteer. We always talk about giving, volunteering, and advocating. If you want to volunteer, reach out to the Corporation for National Service website, AmeriCorps VISTA Volunteer, or you can call the United Way and we'll hook you up with Ben here and get you connected. Again, thanks for joining us, and I want to remind you to please remember, give, volunteer, advocate.